Yes, you can't be a leader in other countries if you're not stabilized. Right. Well, the rest of the world doesn't want America to be stabilized. And that's what globalism is about. Destabilize America and diminish it. It's not about, hey, maybe you can be a good leader here since you have so many resources. It's about destabilizing it. It's about sending all of the world to the United States and exploiting it. And that's what the immigration issue has become.
Disrupting all of our communities,
yes,
where people actually know one another, take care of each other, and are active in government.
100%.
Shipping all of this one country to the Midwest to disrupt what...
Minneapolis. Minneapolis turned into a Somalian country because they took all the immigrants and decided, instead of dispersing them about, the powers that be want to concentrate them in one place. And that changes a huge cultural shift in the one places where they get placed. And that's not fair. Welcome to our back porch. We are two authors and artists happily married for over 20 years, parenting 2 boys and sharing glimpses of our lives with you. Lean in and listen to our unedited conversations as we share on art, parenting, politics, culture, and how our Christian faith colors it all. I'm Dale Fincher, with my wife Jonalyn Fincher, and this is our back porch conversation. Today's conversation is why we are not Christian nationalists.
Oh, you're just going to reveal it right at the beginning? Now everybody knows our position. Spoiler alert.
Or why we're not Christian nationalists.
Nobody's going to fall for that.
Not.
Or maybe why Dale is not and Jonalyn is. Actually, I'm coming to this conversation as sort of like the ignorant observer, and please teach me, because I don't understand Christian nationalism. It sounds very concerning. It sounds concerning to me, but I want to know what it is before I say I'm not it. Because maybe I am. So I'd love for you to, this came up because I think since Charlie Kirk died, since Charlie Kirk was murdered, there has been a resurgence in some of these conversations. And I think the powerlessness of feeling like somebody who was brave about his faith in the political conversations, that he lost his life because of violence, another man's violence, and probably many more people's violence. That makes people want to know, what can they do to stop this from happening to them and their children? I think that's part of the reason this conversation has become, it's just become more common. But
I think it's also become more common because we have all experienced, it's been going on for decades, this idea of the steady march into decay and destruction in our country.
Yeah.
And with that, and you see it in the media, you see it on television, and
you hear it everywhere you go.
Focus on the Family, we talked about it endlessly, 40 years ago. And it's like, this has been going on for a while. So people are like, yes, when are we going to have a revival? When are we going to become a Christian nation again? And is this even going to happen?
Right. The narrative on the left is we're progressing, we're getting better. The narrative on the right is things are getting worse and worse. And it is interesting, it's a very interesting, question is, what role do we have in stopping the halt of this, or is it inevitable and it's just, culture will get worse, there's nothing we can do about it?
Because of sin and decay and whatever.
Yeah.
I know. I do think people are discouraged and people are looking for an answer. Surely there's an answer out there.
Well, when people are discouraged, it's actually when people are the most vulnerable. It's like your mom when she had cancer. She was so hungry for a potential cure and she talked about it as she had been fighting it for 10 years, how people would give her crazy, loony suggestions.
Really bad.
And really unvetted books, and she would read them and she would consider them because she was trying to be open to God, and she was desperate. She was desperate to survive. And I think that in climates like ours, there's a lot of abusive leaders who end up gaining control. They definitely exploit the moment. That's the concern I have.
You're right.
There's people who exploit the crisis on the left and the right.
And you see it on small scale. Somebody dies in your family, all of a sudden all the aunts and uncles are vying for some sort of position because they know there's power or inheritance, or they get to be the next patriarch, matriarch that everybody looks to. Their house will be the new family Christmas destination, whatever it is. Yeah. There's a balance and upset of somebody that's a leader. Everybody else wants to be a leader. I hate that. I really hate it, because that's not the way of Jesus at all. The way of Jesus and true leadership is where you're getting a gauge on what everybody needs, what everybody wants, where everybody needs to go, the way the original leader was going or doing, holding people together, and then finding out how together you can go forward. You want Charlie Kirk's death to be a unifying moment.
Yes.
And I think it has been in certain ways.
Well, but people are springboarding off of him saying here's where he was wrong and using him as a platform to get power.
That's it. And that's a dangerous thing. And last week we talked about how Jesus was political. So if Jesus was political, and if Charlie Kirk's assassination is pushing people to start asking that hard question, one of the big options is, that's it. We have to become a Christian nation again. That's it. We're a Christian nation.
So is that what Christian nationalism means? Just becoming a Christian nation? Returning to the Plymouth Mayflower Compact?
Let's jump in. I think that's a really good question. Because when we think about a Christian nation, right there, we're thinking about a nation and we're attaching an adjective to it, Christian. And so when people think of Christian nation, generally thinking we're a nation of good people, moral people. That's what people think of when they think of Christian nation. That's how it has meant. We were founded on a Christian nation. The founding documents are founded on a Christian nation. And then you're like, okay, great. Great. Christian documents, that's what they are. But that's not what people mean by Christian nationalism. That's moving it into more of a proper noun, Christian nationalism, rather than just a Christian nation. Christian nation usually means culturally Christian. Christian nationalism means legally Christian, and all that entails.
So what would happen? What are the Christian nationalists like? Can you give me the best argument from their perspective as to what would need to happen to make that?
Yes, so a Christian nationalist in general says the Constitution has failed us and therefore must be flattened and destroyed, and we need to create a new one. And the new one needs to be wrapped around and codified in biblical mandates, particularly Protestant Christian church mandates.
Like New Testament church? Making the Acts world a national law?
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's taking it, and not necessarily a theocracy, although some may say that's what they're doing, but it is taking things like, on a very practical level, women should be in the home and submissive to their husbands. Therefore, in Christian nationalism, women should be in the home and should not be voting or involved in a lot of, civic public work. That's the man's domain, and the women have their domain. So that's one simple example of what it would end up looking like.
See, when I hear you said Christian nationalism, the first thing I thought of was the entire Bible, the Old Testament laws. Maybe it's a return to trying to live like the Jews in the Promised Land, or maybe setting up judges like when God ruled over.
It could include that, yeah. Why wouldn't it? I mean, I think that. So here's a major difficulty in it. When you hear the word Christian, describe to me 4 or 5 words of what Christian means to you, or 4 or 5 sentences. What does Christian mean to you when you hear that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Christian can mean American, America. Oh, sorry. Just Christian. I'm sorry. You just asked me to define Christian. Christian can mean go to Sunday school and church, raised in a church environment. All your social activities are surrounding Christian activities. So, you take your kids to Awanas, and you do small group, and all your friends are attending church.
So when you hear that person's a Christian, those are all the list of things that describe what
that would be a church attending person. That's what Christian can mean.
Okay.
Christian can mean a whole set of ethics, like how you conduct war, or the way you believe you should raise your kids, like a Christian way of raising your children. It can mean evangelism, like going out and sharing your faith, like evangelical Christianity. Christian can mean mysticism, like, or the Christian disciplines, like the old church fathers. It can mean Orthodox Christianity. It can mean Catholic Christianity. It can mean Episcopal. I mean, the word, you're right, the word Christian is enormous, and everyone feels like they can claim it. So that actually is concerning, because then you have 5, 6, 10, 100 people using the word Christian nationalism, and they all are going to mean a different type of law.
That's a major problem. Like, go back 400 or 500 years in Europe. Will we say that Europe was Christian?
They would claim that they were.
Absolutely. I would say 100% it was Christian. Were there wars inside of Europe happening?
Over.
Catholics and Protestants were always fighting each other.
The flavor of Christianity. And I'm not saying Jesus sanctioned those wars, but
nope.
They use the Bible to justify their wars.
And the king thought, or the queen thought, this is what it means for our nation to be Christian and adhere to the Catholic creed. And another king or queen says, this is what it means to be Christian and adhere to the Protestant creed. Yeah. And anybody in the Catholic ranks here, you guys are subversive to the great, wonderful Protestant endeavor. You're executed. Oh, you Protestants are in this Catholic endeavor, you're executed. Why is John Wycliffe burned at the stake? Translating the Bible into English, which is a challenge to the Catholic Church. Christian nationalism. So I think what you're saying, when you say that we're Christian, like, what do we mean by Christian, is probably at the heart of the gigantic problem with this idea. It sounds appealing on one level, like we can get back to things of value, timeless truths,
introduce
the permanent
morality
things.
Again.
Morality.
An objective truth. So all the things, basically they're using the felt need of the relativism, the postmodernism, the Marxism of the world, and saying, wouldn't it be great if from the law itself of our land we could mandate that people hold to objective reality and truth?
And people, not just objective reality and truth, Christian reality.
So what happens, though, to all the people who have no faith or aren't Christian in our country?
Yeah, that's a major issue, isn't it?
What would they do with them?
Good question.
What are they saying? Are they saying what they would do?
Most of what, I don't even get that deep into it.
Okay.
I just know that they explicitly want to make a Christian constitution and destroy what we have and rewrite what we have. And they're trying to create a movement, and they are creating a small movement out of it.
Is it pretty fringe, or is it catching on?
What used to be fringe, but it's catching on. And this is part of the issue. Part of the issue is the left wants it to catch on.
Oh, I bet they do.
Because they need that Marx and Hegelian dialectic, where they give
the easy whipping boy.
They give a thesis, and then they need the antithesis. So they have their global Marxism stuff, and what they need to have as part of the pendulum swinging is a nationalist fascist stuff.
Yeah, it actually, the stuff you said about women in the home, now I'm a big fan of being in my home. I love being home, and I love raising our boys, and that's the majority of my time and energy is spent on that and educating them. However, there is so much more women and men are called to do than the typical roles of home and work. We could talk about that another time. But when you were talking about them saying as Christian nationals, women should be in the home, they shouldn't be out serving in the world or as lawyers or public office, it reminded me of the phrase during Nazi Germany, Kucha, Kitcha, and Christian. And I'm probably butchering those German words, but it means the woman's domain are in these three spheres: the kitchen, the home, and the church. And the reason Hitler's ideas and the reason he rose to power is because there was so much chaos with the influx after World War I of all these different foreigners, exploiting the vulnerability of the German people. They were impoverished. Their wealth was coming outside of their country. And there was forced gang rape in the streets.
Terribly demoralized people, and their economics was in the trash. So they're looking for a strong leader that can turn that around.
Hitler provided a lot of stability and hope and personal pride again, and amazing German culture.
Which, as a parenthetical, is interesting that the left, what they really want, they want Trump to be the Hitler, which they keep calling him. But Trump isn't filling the hole that Hitler filled, because the United States wasn't anywhere like Germany at that time.
It wasn't in such dire straits. Like it wasn't hurting.
Totally. And he's not coming in doing any of the things you're talking about. Right. He doesn't come in and do the Christian Nationalist thing. The left wants him to do the Christian Nationalist thing. No, but he doesn't do it because it doesn't seem to be a Christian at all, and he's not a nationalist. So it's like that. It's not even working for them, and they're like, we need it to work in order for our pendulum campaign to happen, to get back in power, so we could be seen as heroes to rescue America from something. Because they always need we need to rescue America from something. That's the woke oppression narrative.
That's what Obama used with the Hope campaign.
Huge, yeah.
So.
So that's the parenthetical. So you have the rise of Germany, like you're saying.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is people in Germany were just so hungry for significance again and self-respect and respect of the world that everyone wanted, tell me what my role is. And it's a dangerous thing when you're in a place of childishness, of just tell me what to do so I don't get in trouble. Because then you're not a nation of adults, you're a nation of children.
Now, I would say that in general, we are moving in that direction as the United States, in that we are not adults. More and more people want the government to tell them what to do. They want their finances regulated. They want their employment to be underneath a gigantic corporation dictating what their job description is. They want all their money lined up in a certain kind of way, their Social Security lined up in their way. It's like almost like when you drive down the road and you have all the rules for the road. They want their whole lives mapped out like that.
Well, Social Security itself is evidence that since Roosevelt, people were not capable of setting aside money in self-discipline to live on when they were older. They needed the government to extract that money and hold on to it and then dole it out in small amounts. Isn't that what Social Security is?
Social Security is doing that. I would not say that's the reason why.
No, I'm saying it caught on because people wanted the government. And nowadays,
people wanted the government to do it, but it's not because people couldn't save up. He was exploiting the Great Depression and what was happening during that time.
I see.
That's what he was doing.
I see.
And it was a nasty thing to do, to create a system like this that makes so many elderly people dependent on the system itself, that even if the system's breaking and broken, you can't fix it because the humanitarian fallout is too enormous. So it's a nasty, gross thing that he did, to put so many retired people into such deep dependence. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like those retired people didn't have the money. They had the money. They were just forced to have it extracted and sent somewhere else. And they were forced to give it to a government that didn't invest it.
Yes.
So they cannot make money on the money that they're setting aside. Yes. I mean, it would be one thing to say, you know what, you can't save for retirement, so we're forcing you to take 10% of every paycheck and it goes into a retirement account that will match whatever the market is, and you can go to any private advisors that you wish to make it grow as big as you possibly want, and you can't access it till you're 65. That would be we need to solve the problem of people not saving up. It became you can't solve the problem, we need to make sure our philosophical, ideological, political idea, which works a lot like the way Christian nationalism would, to come into every single paycheck of every single citizen and extract it out and send it off to Big Brother knows best.
Well, and it's not like it was invested well. It was simply
it's horrible.
Abused and used for the wrong things. So I was actually trying to say that. I don't think I said it very clearly when I said that Roosevelt just took the money.
Okay.
But
anyway, back to Christian
completely
nationalism.
Agree with you. Here's the thing, though. I know people who are listening are going to say, but if it was Christian principles, in other words, if Christian nationalism is based on the one true Christianity, which I don't even know we could even distill with all the varied forms into a law, why wouldn't it be successful?
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to take a step back again and say there's another reason this gets motivated for people to support it, is that we have heard over and over again the problems of globalism. Globalism. Globalism is taking things over. People want, the United Nations to write laws for our country. The EU has already written laws for all of Europe. The United Nations wants to do that for everybody. We have to have all this, corporate compliance with what else is going on in the world, what China is doing and Europe is doing and Russia is doing. And we have to make sure all of our own corporations are adapting to that. So globalism is the idea that there are powers that be that are bigger than the United States that are slowly enveloping everything.
Yes.
So they can have domination.
BNL. It's BNL of Wally.
It's exactly.
Which means, I totally get
George Bush.
Sorry, totally simplifying it.
Space is the final frontier. You heard it in George Bush Sr.'s speech about needing a new world order. And the new world order is the new world government. And there's
run by corporations, right?
Everybody.
It's corporations that are larger?
Corporations are larger, but it's a governing body, and no doubt the corporations will be heavily influenced on it. So probably will own it. But that's what the future would end up looking like if they had their way. You saw it in COVID, and I think a big deal about COVID was it exposed a lot of things, like the World Health Organization dictating to us in my little house, thousands of miles away, how we're supposed to live, and the notes and the idea and the research you're using is questionable, and you're telling me I'm not allowed to question it? Weird.
Yeah, COVID revealed that it's not actually even our elected officials who are running our lives.
So nationalism says, oh, good, we need to pull it back in and be America first.
Okay.
So then people think, make America great again, or America first means nationalism.
Yes, I was going to say, most people think that's exactly what Trump believes. Okay,
America first is different from America only. Nationalism moves it from America first to America only.
Okay, that's very helpful. Now,
because America first says, and very similar to when you're on an airplane and they say put the gas mask on your face, the oxygen mask on your the gas mask, everybody.
Everybody inhale gas.
We're going into the nuclear plant. Put on your gas mask. The oxygen mask first, and then help other people so that you're stabilized and all of your powers can then be employed. That's the same is true of every family, every community, state, and nation.
And you see that that's what Trump's motivation is, because he is interested in helping other countries stabilize. His work has done in Israel.
Yeah, but he's looking at getting our country stabilized.
Right, but for the goal of when he goes into other countries.
You can't be a leader in other countries if you're not stabilized. Right. Well, the rest of the world doesn't want America to be stabilized. And that's what globalism is about. Destabilize America and diminish it. It's not about, hey, maybe you can be a good leader here since you have so many resources. It's about destabilizing it. It's about sending all of the world to the United States and exploiting it. And that's what the immigration issue has become.
Disrupting all of our communities where people actually know one another, take care of each other, and are active in government.
100%.
Shipping all of this one country to the Midwest to disrupt what
Minneapolis. Minneapolis turned into a Somalian country because they took all the immigrants and decided, instead of dispersing them about, the powers that be want to concentrate them in one place. And that changes a huge cultural shift in the one places where they get placed. And that's not fair. It's not fair to Somalians that they left their country. It should be that they need to rebuild and go home again. But instead, it's like, come on over, and now you can become American and have all of our treasures, and here's all the health care we want to provide, and the housing we'll provide, and the employment we'll provide, and on down the list of things.
Which is why New Hampshire has a housing crisis, because they've moved so many immigrants here. When I say they, I mean it's very hard to find it, but it's the NGOs that are working to concentrate immigration in certain areas and scarf up all the low-income housing so that the people who've lived in New Hampshire, the Americans and the citizens, no longer have places to live.
Yeah.
And the Airbnb market has also.
So the globalism wants to disrupt that, So when you look at that,
okay, I'm tracking with you.
Meanwhile, at the same time, they're saying on the airwaves that all the white people in America, and most of America, is racist. It's a terrible place to live. It's a dangerous place to live. They're like, well, why do you keep coming here then? So that's like the irony of it. Is like, everybody here is awful. Let's destabilize it with all the immigrants, and all the immigrants are coming here going, wow, this is wonderful. I'm actually going to exploit this as much as I can. Because most of the countries and most of the cultures of the world are exploitive cultures. So the thing people don't realize is it's not meaning putting anybody down. It's like most places you go, every certain person is looking for out for themselves. And if they can steal a bike, they will. If they can steal your car, they will. If they see your wallet on the ground, it's theirs. They will not just do it for themselves, though. They also do it for their families. So they have extended families. And it becomes almost like a little tribal mafia among the families. This is the way the world works. It works like this all over, and it's worked like this for all time.
It works that way in Mexico, and it worked that way in ancient Israel, and it works that way in most non-Christian cultures, which kind of brings me back to, well, if we built a nation on Christian principles, I think people are seduced into thinking that's going to fix this problem.
I agree. So anyway, nationalism in response to all that. And so that people are like, oh, we got to tighten, we got to tie down the hatches, latch them down. We're like you're on a boat metaphors. We're going to batten everything down. We're going to make sure everything's tied to the deck. The storm is coming. We don't want to lose anything. Come on, America, nationalism. The Constitution. The reason why I have so much globalism is because Constitution has failed. We have so much of globalism because the Constitution is not a good document. It's not moral. It's evil.
It's crisis to disrupt. What they don't realize, and what you're saying, is that Christian nationalism is playing into the hands of destabilizing America.
It is, and playing into the hands of the very people who've already said they want to get rid of the Constitution because it's outdated, it was written by white men, and on down the list of everything you experience from like the woke leftist and communist agenda.
It's pretty crazy to think that Christian nationalists can be playing as pawns into the hands of the people who want to disrupt and destroy America as well. So if is that your concern with what?
Not that is a concern.
You have a lot of concerns about Christian nationalism.
Yeah, and I also have, I feel like, good answers to this too. So, but that is a major concern because just think about it. Just think about the woke globalist left. I use the word woke because everybody just understands what that means because we've lived through it for the last, decade. Mm-hmm. Imagine them all sitting around going, we've been trying to destabilize America and to get rid of their Constitution all this time. There's been a swing back and a response. Charlie Kirk thing, Trump was elected, people are feeling actually optimistic. They're letting their guards down. Good. Let them keep doing that. Let them have that long leash and keep doing that. Oh, there's some Christian nationalists who want to destroy the Constitution for us. This sounds actually pretty cool. Let's go ahead and amplify those voices. Let's amplify.
Do you think...
More and more Americans and Christians start getting around that idea. Yeah, you're right. We should do a convention of states and change some of these amendments in the Constitution. Maybe we can actually present a whole new one and we can all vote on it together. That kind of moment with a brand new thing is exactly the destabilization which will make that brand new thing collapse instantly. Because there's no historical grounding on it anymore. It's just the nice new shiny object, and we will have removed all the legal barriers, all the precedents, everything that came before. It's exactly what the woke globalist left wants. That will destabilize America. If they could easily do that little constitution thing, we can bring another little constitution thing, we can bring our parliamentary thing, we could bring in the UN thing, and whatever it is, and now America's absorbed into and auctioned off to the highest bidder, whether it be technocratic or China or Russia or Iran or Africa or whoever wants to do it. Okay. So I see. That they are playing the game of the destabilization process, and the woke left doesn't care what constitution comes in, so long as we can replace the one we have. Because they will destroy anything, and the one we have is very strong.
Okay, so you think the left is amplifying and giving a larger platform to these Christian 100%. Nationalists?
In fact, a lot of people, American, like, rational people are all looking at it going, where all these Christian nationalists come from? Who's supporting them? They're already identifying some of them that's not even their real name or the Twitter names they're using.
So
they just all appeared out of the woodwork within the last 2 years. And it's like, whoa, publishing this, publishing that. Some of the old school ones, like Douglas Wilson. Remember that guy? Yes. Credenda Agenda? He suddenly amplified. I'm like, why is he coming back into my radar? I thought that was like way back, way past. Spiritual abuse people. This is weird. He's coming up. So there's a bunch of different voices, some new, some of the old, but they're all getting amplified at the same time.
And people that have in the past led ignorant Christians into thinking they're following the straight and narrow, people who have been leaders on the far, would you say fundamentalist and spiritual abusive side? Yeah. So these people are trusted, and now they're going to be leading the well-meaning
Christians or Charlie Kirk followers or whatever it may be.
Who are trying to do the pure form. So do you think it's seductive to people who are idealistic and want a pure form?
100%. Okay. And they're playing off of a reaction. So reactionariness is part of that Marxist Hegelian dialect. They're always looking for the reaction. They don't want you to be standing from something stable. They want you to react to something you didn't like. And that's part of the reason we're destabilizing in general, is that the left will say something or do something and push something really hard, and it becomes a little shiny little object that the conservatives start jumping up and down about. And it might be boys can be girls. And so they'll fixate on that for a while. What? No, that's bad. And they're like, oh my gosh, look at the people on the right. They love culture wars. I can't believe it. They're so bad. They're like, you're the one that started it for the first place. Meanwhile, they're like, yeah, we'll let them fight over boys and girls stuff. We'll let them demoralize that territory. Meanwhile, we're going to get into the banking and the monetary system and the law system and put judges in place that are woke and everything down the line, who don't believe in truth, hate the Constitution, everything else. What are you guys arguing about? We're boys and girls cannot interchange. That's fine. You guys keep thinking about that. Now we're going to be making these, international global alliances. All the things that are horrendously horrible. But they throw out the culture wars to distract everybody and make them think that that's where the battle is at.
I understand, too, that's why we've said on this podcast time and time again that LGBTQ are being used as pawns.
100% pawns.
So they are the shiny, they're the red herring keeping... Now when you
say the powers that be, they're the red herring. The postmoderns in general who love just doing the little nitty-gritty work of trying to promote Marxist equality, it's like they're absorbed by it for their whole life. They love that kind of stuff. But that stuff won't last long. Just like in Russia, everybody had this ideal that the communist revolution was going to bring about equality for all, but it didn't. All it did was create a power vacuum for a few people at the top to kill off all of their competitors and just take over the whole country in the name of equality, but that just meant hundreds of millions of people being executed in the dark.
Well, same with China, same with really any government that becomes unstable. It's become unstable usually these days on purpose.
Yes, so we have to resist the reaction. So when the thing comes presented to you, you just say it for what it is, you address it for what it is, like C.S. Lewis said, good philosophy must exist. If for no other reason to answer bad philosophy, yes. We have to have an answer for it. But you don't get mired in it. You keep standing and talking about and building on what is good and real and strong.
And an anecdote to help illustrate this, we've had a lot of quiet in our little town here in New Hampshire, because after the Charlie Kirk assassination, I think they were trying to we don't want to stir a hornet's nest. Let's not appear too controversial. And then
talking about the protesters?
Yeah, the protesters
on the corners,
here in town. And then when I saw them, I was so angry at the way they changed colors, because they were having all these fascists,
They were singing songs. They made national news a couple weeks ago because they were singing songs about killing Nazis while holding signs that Republicans are Nazis. And it made national news. And the very next week, they're holding signs, we believe in peaceful protest, nonviolence. All their signs say that. Like, they got rid of all the pedophile signs. We believe in,
pedophile signs.
Yeah, they because the Epstein files have not been released yet, or the supposed client list. They all say that Trump is on it and he's a pedophile. So that's their mantra. There is no substance right now for the left to criticize, so they had to just make up stuff.
Okay, so anyways, what I wanted to say is when we drove past them, I was so disgusted.
It's hypocritical, I agree.
was so disgusted by how hypocritical they are. I'm like, can I roll down the window down and give them a thumbs down? I was about to do it. You're like, you can, but that's exactly what they want. They want to have you react against them so they have something to push off against.
And their signs say peaceful protest. So when you put your thumbs down, it means we're against peaceful protest. It's a rhetorical game that they're playing with you. It's like Black Lives Matter. We're like, well, that's a communist thing that doesn't care about black people. It doesn't matter. If you say you're against Black Lives Matter, you hate black people. Or the anti-fascist terrorist gangs that are around the country. If you say these anti-fascist things are wrong, it's named for that because it means you're a fascist if you're against anti-fascism. It's in the name,
But that's
Jonalyn.
why I wanted to have dialogue with all the businesses in town where they have all the Black Lives Matter, water is life.
No human is illegal.
Yeah. I want to go in and say, I would love to buy your stuff here. And I have a big order to put in, but when I saw your sign, I feel so unsafe here. This is such a triggering place. And I don't think you even realize that all of the things on that sign are actually code language for something you probably don't even agree with. Just to be kind and dialogue with them. Yeah. I don't even know if it would change their mind, but just to be a presence of a person who is...
I think that approach is a non-reactionary approach.
Okay.
And I think it's a good approach.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
I think it's good. And I think that anybody listening
it's a lot more work than putting your thumb down out the window, though.
It is. But I think that's the right work, because you're building a relationship and you're having the courage to meet somebody in the eye.
Especially
because
if
most
it's
people are not
strategic.
monsters inside.
Especially if it's strategic and you find out when the manager and the owner's there and you have those conversations, especially if you can gather other moms and families.
You're right.
And do it again and again and again. So they can see it's not just you.
You're right. And you're like, look, I would love to have your boba tea. But I'm not going to, I don't want to come into a boba tea and support a shop that has all of this hatred on the wall.
Yes, and I want to say, how would you feel if you came into my art studio and on the wall it said everywhere, believe in Jesus or go to hell? Would you feel like that was a safe place to enjoy art?
It's a great example.
Well, that's the way I feel in here. But how can you feel that way? Or then I was thinking they could say, well, I feel triggered by you being triggered. Like, it's so sad that your political sign has created such a triggering atmosphere for us both.
Yes.
Because you could have just put, everyone welcome.
Rudyard Kipling's line comes in so handy, you got to keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, and they're blaming it on you. And I think that's really good.
Right. Well, Charlie Kirk is an excellent example of that, but so was Jesus.
Yes, Charlie Kirk's a great example because he's right here in front of us, so people actually watch his videos.
Yes.
To get into Jesus' shoes, you have to sit down and read in the quiet place, or listen to people who have done that already and really studied him. But you're exactly right. Jesus is actually the model.
So clever in the verses he used.
Jesus is stinking clever.
When
he's
he
really
spoke
good at
and
it.
when he was quiet.
He's very
In fact,
good.
let me pause for a moment and say, if you don't see Jesus as intelligent or clever, I recommend you go to dalefincher.com because...
No, it's livingroombible.com.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay, new website, livingroombible.com. Go to the study called The Stories of Jesus for the Modern Family. It's the book of Mark. And just begin listening to Side B, which is Dale's commentary explaining why Jesus responds the way he does, because he's using often the core beliefs of the people he's answering in his strategic responses to them.
It's so good.
It's so inspiring.
But he's in a society that's taking the law of Moses, which all the Jews build their life on, and it's been polluted and twisted to other goals.
Yeah.
And so he's stepping in saying, you guys have got it wrong, here it is right. He's not going away with them, he's not eradicating the law of Moses, he's actually pointing them to return to it. And I think that is the great example for today and a good segue to say, well, what should we do then? What should we do?
Well, that's
how bad would it be? Hold on. How bad would it be if Jesus were to say, you guys have been polluting and distorting the law of Moses? That's it. I'm going to show you. We're going to get rid of the law of Moses.
Are you saying the Constitution's like the law of Moses?
If we were to draw a parallel, it was the law of Moses that established a nation of Israel.
Oh, I see.
They received that law of Mount Sinai when God
saying.
Came down as their king. Mm-hmm. He's the king. Kings give laws. That's their law. That is the nation, the orderly nation, and how to relate to their king and how to have a purpose. That is their purpose, their law. Our Constitution is our purpose as a nation. Our Constitution is a law, and it came from nature's God. Now, it was written by people who believed in...
You mean it was written by people who believed in nature's God?
Exactly right.
It doesn't come from nature's God.
No.
Like God did not...
No, it's derived... God did not come down and say
Okay,
no. But it is derived from the transcendent views, transcendent truths of what they called nature's God, who, for all of them, meant the God of the Bible who made all of nature.
Yes, that is correct. They were trying to distill the logical, like natural law, obvious things that they could pull from studying science, and well, they didn't call it science back then, but just like their views were not only derived from the Bible, they were also from studying the world.
Yeah, they believe that the common sense, which means a sense that's common to everybody, that everybody has access to these truths if you just sit down and think about them a bit, and we talk about them and argue about them until they can be refined. There are certain things that are true about the world, and so therefore let's codify that and put it together in the law of the land.
Yes.
And that to me is the brilliant part of it. That's the brilliant part of our Constitution. So,
I agree it's brilliant too, but I want
I'm sorry, I really want to... I know we're going to run out of time, and there's some things that need to be said.
Go ahead.
one of the things that needs to be said is that when you read the Bible, it gives no instructions at all how to build a Gentile nation, only on how to build a Jewish nation, Israel. And the law is not for Gentiles, it is for Jews. And this has been a major confusion for the last 2,000 years, and I wish that it could be cleared up, because it could be cleared up very quickly. That there is no blueprint for a Gentile nation, and the Bible is written for Jews, and it's their story. We got invited in, but the laws are not for us. So how do Gentiles run their nations? We don't know. It's not told.
Oh, you mean, what is the prescription
for
the
biblical
Gentiles
way about a nation, about Christians to run a nation? It's not told. And I think that is an incredible freedom, whereas I think a lot of it would look at it and be like, oh no, this is terrible. So many people want to go into a theocracy where God rules. And a lot of people want to go into a law of Moses and build a nation on it. Be like, but no, that's a Jewish nation. They have a particular purpose in the world.
You're saying because there's an absence of clarity about Gentiles and how they're supposed to rule their nation, this is actually a gift. And most people see it as an anxiety place. We don't know what to do.
Exactly. They do.
Why do you see that as a gift, my love?
Well, it's a gift because we get to breathe a sigh of relief and like, okay, so if God didn't tell me how to do this, I don't have to fret about, oh no, I'm missing something that God said. Oh no, I'm going to mess it up. I don't know what it is and it's not, or we might be like, there's a fragment here and a fragment there and a fragment here. Let's quickly get all of these confusing fragments together and try to make something because that's what God intended for us. And instead, God is saying, I want you to understand the principles of reality as you read the Bible as Gentiles. Acts 15 is even saying how much Gentiles are not underneath the Jewish law anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. They never were. That's another important distinction. Whenever I hear Gentile Christians talking in church, be like, well, we're no longer under the law of Moses. I would say, you never were under the law of Moses. What are you talking about?
They're doing like the Grand Queen Victoria as if the history of the Jews, they were there with
Gentiles could come into Israel and they could adopt and become and live like Jews. That is very much true. But with Jesus, he didn't have that. He opened the door wide open, and you see it all through Paul. Gentiles, you can now follow Jesus the Messiah, the great King of Israel. Yay, you can order your life around the great King of Israel. Yay, you have your loyalty to the great King of Israel. Yay, and here is the way the great King of Israel thinks. And if you look around the world around you, you will discover that his fingerprints are on all the things that you don't even have to read the Bible to arrive at. You could just think about it. The Bible is a guide. It's almost like saying to you, there is a old historic 300-year-old stone wall around our property. I could write that down and be like, that's the special revelation before you even walked upon the property. I revealed that to you in a document. But then you can go out and walk around the property once you arrive at it and say, I noticed there's like a 300-year-old wall all around the property. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. And I wrote that down in the document, but you also saw it for yourself. And then you can go to your neighbor without referring to my document at all and say, hey, come over here. I want to show you a 300-year-old rock wall around my property. They come over and they look at it. Oh, yeah. Do you think that's rock, or do you think that's like colored styrofoam to make it look like rocks, like they do at Disney World or something? They're like, no, those are real rocks. Oh, my goodness. We can discover that. We have together used common sense, the sense that's common to all of us, to see that there's a rock wall. That's what the Bible is like. It's telling us, writing down all these interesting things about the way the world really is. And you can go outside and you can go examine that and verify and see that it's true. What are some very important things about the world the way it is? Human beings are a very unique animal in the world. The Bible explains how we're unique, and you can start examining human beings and be like, oh my gosh, there's something different between us and any other animal. We create, we build, we think, we mess up, we contradict our nature. We suffer consequences for it. We have relationships, very complex relationships. We build contracts, agreements, make skyscrapers, do all that. No other animal has any of the abilities to do any of those things. That's an important part of it. Human beings have not only are they special, but there's something unique about them that's valuable that should not be trampled. There's a moral boundary around them. And that destroying a human life is to take something extremely valuable out of the world. Not just, it's like, oh no, we lost one of our workers. It is, we lost a worker, but something tragic has happened. Reality, fabric has been destroyed. And whoever caused that to happen needs to suffer dire consequences. Because they have gone from taking somebody that had being and turned them into non-being. That's not good. well, that thing I'm right now describing is called a right to life. It's a moral boundary around a person. No other animal has that. And you can go down the list of all the different rights that we have that are enumerated out in the Constitution. Now, I'm not saying you have to go to the holy book of the Bible to say, see, these are all the rights, although it's giving us the quick cheat sheet that they are there. You can go and sit and talk about it and understand it. And once you start understanding that nature itself, everything that's here is created by a transcendent being that thinks and is personal and is loving and is orderly, which describes the God you find in the Bible, then you can start putting things together that everybody with common sense can see. That's like the bare minimum that's required and needed for everybody to adhere to, that all these real things that common sense can see, and that's what the Constitution is laid out. So that inside that structure, atheists can totally exist, Muslims can exist, Jews, secular people, people with the weird UFO views, all that kind of stuff, so long as the fabric of those deep truths are not violated, because those deep truths are the thing that makes us prosperous and the things that make us free. That cannot be tinkered with. That's why I have struggles when people talk about we need to have free speech, but they want to use things like pornography or trans story hours for children, or these weird books that are in the school, ideological books in the library at the local public school for second graders. And you're looking at those and they're like, this doesn't look good. We should take these out. We shouldn't be having this in our society. Be like, free speech, free speech, free speech. Like, yeah, that's in the First Amendment. It's true. But do these things validate the deeper truths that we all have built the Constitution on and built this nation on? No. Because these things erode freedom. They are not there as true. Oh, that's another thing about human beings is they have truth-seeking qualities. These are not truth-seeking qualities. These are exploitation qualities. Morally, you do not have a right to speak lies. You don't have a right to pollute streams. You don't have, or even like physical streams, but also streams of thought. You don't have a moral right to do any of those things deliberately to delude people and lead them away from the goodness of what a human being is, what their purposes and moral boundaries are for the sake of prosperity and freedom and justice. Justice is all part of that. So, where are we going with this? That's also like Second Amendment. It's been very clear, thankfully we've had enough arguments to make it clear that just because you can own a firearm doesn't mean you can kill people with it. It has to be certain conditions in which your moral boundaries, called rights, are violated. Then you can use lethal force to stop somebody from violating that because they have already participated and joined in non-being in order to exploit you and hurt you or hurt your family. Those are the moral justifications for using self-defense, for example. So where does all this go? I think these bare minimums of what a human being is and where he's going and what he's built on and what the foundations of the moral reality is and how we are ordered together, it creates a big envelope for so many people to be included so long as they buy into this. That's why an oath to the Constitution is so important. That's why immigrants coming in legally, so they take that oath to the Constitution and understand it, is so important. Because if you don't understand that, everything fractures. We have a lot of people deliberately trying to uneducate people in these things. We don't teach it in our schools, in our public schools. That should not just make us be like, oh, that stinks. That should make us deeply suspicious of who's in charge. Because this is what we all have to agree on. You walk over to your neighbor's house, you agree on it. No matter what the other views they have, that we have to agree on. That's how public trust is built. That's how I can walk down the street without having to carry a firearm. I can have my wallet in my pocket. I can have my hat on my head and be smiling as I walk along, enjoying the sunshine, because I'm not afraid somebody's going to come out and mug me at any second, because public trust is all built around all this. These fundamental views that we have in our American founding and embedded in the Constitution build that kind of public trust that is unique in the world. And we want the whole world to see that. They don't have to become Christian. They just have to have common sense. What does Christian nationalism want to do? They might want to take these things, although I don't know that all Christian doctrine actually promotes these things. But they want to take them all and smash them. And let's build something else. Let's start it instead of nature's God made all human beings equal, endowed by their creator with moral rights. They want to make it like God says you must be a Christian. You must now hold to Jesus, not what your conscience is saying, not what your reason is saying. Because in the system we have, your own conscience and your own reason has to lead you along to arrive at whose nature God is. But if you start putting a gun to people's head and saying, convert or die, that's Christian nationalism. If nature is God and reason is saying that women have capabilities far beyond childbearing and cooking and cleaning at home, then it makes us pause and take a step back. Especially when you're reading the Bible and you're like saying, you know what? I think the Bible is actually broader than your quote unquote Baptist interpretation or a PCA, Presbyterian interpretation is. And because of common sense, it made me say, wait a second, I've been hanging out with women and they're fully human too. And there's some, not just in their equality, not just in their value, but in their capabilities. Maybe there are places, not saying for all women need to do that, but some women to be doing that. Just like not all men should be in leadership, but only some men should be in leadership because they have the capabilities. Common sense says that maybe we're actually been misreading the Bible a little bit. Well, it turns out a lot of people are misreading the Bible in that area. And common sense, challenging the Bible makes us look at the Bible, not to conform to common sense, but to say maybe we've been misreading something. Because the Bible, for me, is a final authority, but it's not my interpretation is not the final authority. So anyway, I'm laying all that out there to say the Christian nationalism wants to demolish all that and create a very rigid structure of whatever denomination they have or whatever Catholic they have or whatever Anglican thing they have and make the nation around that thing. Just like the woke people want to demolish the Constitution and make it so everybody's forced to adhere to whatever communistic, Marxist, neo-technocratic, whatever kind of creed that they want to put together. And you must abide by it, like wearing your COVID mask, or you're going to be ostracized or lose your job. And oh, by the way, here's a whole bunch of vaccines you need to take. Why do you take them? Stop questioning. This is the creed now. Whereas in our current system, freedom of conscience is a thing. Guess what? That's a Bible thing too. Freedom of conscience, freedom of movement, freedom of association, all of those things are part of the moral boundaries that I have as a human being. So for me, if I want to have a Christian nation, I hold up the Constitution and say this is deeply important for us to come to an agreement on. And that means we're going to have to relearn and talk about what morals actually are. You can't say morals are relative and at the same time ask for rights, because rights are your moral boundaries. We have to talk about the telos, the teleology, the purpose of things. What is the purpose of our nation? What is the purpose of a human being? What is the purpose of a First Amendment, a Second Amendment, a Fourth Amendment? We know what the purpose of the third one is. Don't put the army in your house. But you go down the list. What are the purposes? How do we arrive at prosperity, justice, and freedom with the way things are structured now? It's all there. It's just been corrupted. The law of Moses is all there, but it had been corrupted. Jesus wanted to get us back, not because he says we should go back and negate progress. No, Jesus said you have actually been degressing for a long time. Going back to the wrong turn in the road is how you make progress to your destination. We can do that. But not Christian nationalism can't be the thing. We have to do like what you said. We have to have the conversations with people. We educate people. And when people say, hey, let's demolish this part of society and build up something else, we resist that 100%. And we say, no, let's do the thing that includes everybody within this larger framework that the Constitution has laid out for us. Not reactionary. We want freedom.
So two things come up as I'm listening to you for me. One is people want and I think need to know that they are having these conversations in a community. And I want to say, if any of you are listening and your hearts are burning in you and you're like, I know the businesses I want to show up in and I want to have these conversations, will you please reach out to me? Send me an email at hello@jonalynfincher.com, because coaching people and giving people the words to speak to have those difficult conversations is one of my giftings, and I'm trained in it. And that's something I will be continuing to do in my community. Second, I'm very deeply saddened to realize most Christians do not have common sense either. They don't value it. They want to be told the proper interpretation of a Bible passage, and they allow pastors or whoever is their intellectual, spiritual leaders, there are too many bad ones, who are blinding people to the political aspect of all of the Bible, who are blinding people to the way God wants to work in their lives through Scripture, but also through his relationship with them. And these are Christians who could be so much more potent in their worlds, in their sphere of influence than they are being, because they have conflated walking with Jesus with attendance in a huddle group, in retreat from culture. And they haven't thought about so many of the things you're saying here. The intellectual reasons for why God protected Israel and protects us and teaches us about all of the rational reasons for morality and our rights. Like the way you put it, Dale, is most people don't know that the Constitution brings them those things. Most people have no idea about the Constitution. And they're Christians and they love God and they love the Bible, but they have no clue that the Constitution is so deeply Judeo-Christian. They just don't.
And what's amazing, it's already a Christian document. It's so perfectly consistent with Christianity, but it's argued from a common sense perspective, which is necessary to include as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter where you are. You could be at a small tribe in Papua New Guinea. If you understood English and you were brought up to literacy rate so that you understood these concepts that are going on, you could arrive at this conclusion. You could see it and be like, oh, you're right, I am valuable. I think of myself as valuable. Oh, okay, if I'm valuable and that guy's valuable, then we have to start being neighborly to each other. And now we have moral boundaries together.
But does the Constitution, if someone listening was like, I want to understand that, they just start reading the Constitution, is that going to be clear to them?
I think that would be really helpful to them if they actually read it. If people read it, but then you have to ask yourself the question as you're reading it. And the Declaration of Independence is also part of it. You have to read that in order to understand what leads up to it. But you have to understand and ask yourself the question, what is the philosophy behind this? I do that all the time, even when I'm reading the Bible. Why would he say it like that? What is he thinking? What beliefs are in place for Jesus to say something like that? And that's an important thing for all of us when we're reading something. What is the philosophy in place for somebody to actually say something like that? And the Constitution's that way. I know Hillsdale offers a whole course on the Constitution. So if people are interested in that, they can go there.
Okay.
And you'll start tracking it back to realize there are philosophers at the time and before the Founding Fathers, that the Founding Fathers were drawing from, who were building an entire case of what common sense realism, meaning we have access to the real world, is all about. So that for a free society that is not imposing a state religion, but can live with all the benefits of Christian ideas.
Well, this makes a lot of sense, and I feel much more equipped now if Christian nationalism comes up to be able to ask the right types of questions. What kind of Christianity are you talking about? Why don't you think the Constitution is working? What is this going to do in terms of you playing into the hands of what the left wokeism wants you to do to destabilize society?
Those are all awesome takeaways.
Thank you for studying this so we could have this discussion.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's not. I wish we didn't have to study it, but we have to because bad philosophy needs answering.
That's right. We need to know the times.
If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and give a positive review. That would be awesome. And to engage us as artists, go to jonalynfincher.com to see Jonalyn's work and hear stories of the Bible, including the stories of Jesus, like Jesus. Jonalyn was referencing.
I love that you almost called me.
Jonalyn is my Jesus. You can begin that journey for a very low monthly subscription at livingroombible.com. And we'll see you next time on the back porch.